Hi everyone, I'm making this video to help us normalize what lines we need to use for each part of our light model and how we can represent each way that light moves. So when we ask ourselves, how does light move? We should think of these four things. Light transmits, which means that light passes through something. Light reflects, which means that the light bounces evenly off of a smooth surface. Light scatters, which means that it bounces off a rough surface in all directions. And we just recently found that light can be absorbed, which means that the light is taken in or it's soaked up. Notice that I don't have a picture for this one yet. I'm going to show you what absorption looks like on the next few slides, or in a few slides. First, we have transmit. So light passes through a surface and we can see that that's represented here in this image. Actually, light is being reflected and it's being transmitted. You can see that the light is being reflected because it's bouncing off of the surface. You can see that the light is being transmitted because it is passing through the clear glass. So I'm going to show you all how we can represent that light gets transmitted. First, I'm going to select my arrow. I'm going to draw the arrow, of course, leaving the light source. And instead of stopping when I get to the object, what happens is that because the object is clear, the light is able to pass through the glass. Now, of course, this is just a picture, so I can't perfectly get the line to go through the middle of the glass. But I believe that you guys understand my point when I'm saying that the light is going all the way through. This is how we know that it is being transmitted. Okay, I'm also going to draw another line and show how the light is transmitted through this glass. Notice that the arrow does not stop. It extends all the way out the bottom, and I can even move this glass up a little bit to show the arrow or the light ray should go all the way through the glass and out the other side. One more time. The arrow should go straight through and out to the other side. Sorry, my arrows are not cooperating with me. And just as a reminder, if you would like to make your arrows darker, you can change the weight by clicking on this symbol and making them all darker. So that's transmit. Let's move on to reflect. When we see that light is reflecting, we see that it bounces off in these nice straight lines. It bounces off evenly. So when I go to draw my arrows, I'm going to show that the light hits the mirror, and then I have to show that the light reflects off of the mirror. So once the light touches the mirror, it bounces and reflects. Now I'm not going to draw my arrow going off in just any old direction. I'm going to make sure that the angle looks similar to the angle that it comes in. Okay, so this is what it looks like when the light is reflecting. I'm going to do another example. If the light was coming down to the mirror from the light source, let's say it hits like this. Okay, then the next arrow will show that the light is reflecting off like this. Notice that this angle is the same as this angle over here to the side. Okay, so that's light reflecting. Next, we have light scattering. So when the light hits the rough surface, since there is not one smooth way for all of the light to travel, it will just bounce back in any direction. You can show this by drawing your arrow, and instead of having it go off in that nice neat pattern like it does on Reflect, you can just have your arrow go off in a random direction. Okay, and I should show you that since light can come in multiple paths, we can show that that light is bouncing off in multiple paths as well. Another example of light being scattered is when light hits paper. So when light hits paper, since paper is not a perfectly smooth surface, it will go off in another direction. So far we have covered transmit, reflect, and scatter. Our most recent interaction that we learned is absorption. So when something is absorbed, that means that it is taken in or soaked up. So this object is absorbing the light, and the way that I represented that is by drawing arrows that stop when they hit the object. This is different from all of the other arrows that we've drawn because it does not have an arrowhead on the end of it. You can choose to add an arrowhead on the end just by doing our normal arrow, but I chose to, sorry about that, I chose to just represent them completely stopping when they hit the object. So if the light is being absorbed by our colored water, I'm just going to show that it extends from the light source to the beaker and stops when it hits the beaker. I can show that again. When it is absorbed, it hits the beaker and it stops. It hits the water and it stops when it hits the water.